A lot has happened since we were last here. A global shutdown and economy collapse has left many fans, teams, and series wondering what the future of motorsports will look like. The events of the world have forced many types of series to be halted and scramble to figure out a way to make the show go on. And one series in particular has left many fans wanting and yearning for more. And finally, after a very long hiatus, those wishes will come true. Finally returning for the first time in 2023, the premier offline world of esports racing, better known as Power, is back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here today, we are going to take a look at the new Power series that will be running this year, the Summer of Thunder. There's been a lot of changes and a lot that we have to go over before we can get the series kicked off. So let's go ahead and get you caught up and up to speed on everything with the new Power Summer of Thunder series. As mentioned earlier, with everything that has gone on in the world since the last events of our last races in Season 2, a lot has changed, and as a result, the Power Series will also be making some big changes itself, while still keeping some familiar rules in place as well. The series will be downsizing to a shortened 8-race schedule that will take place over the course of the next few months, racing on 2 super speedways, 2 short tracks, 2 regular speedways, and 2 road courses, making it a very split and even schedule where each and every single track type is going to be represented evenly, just like it was in the 20-race schedule. These races will be slightly shortened as well to help with cost-cutting measures, as we'll be seeing a 15 to 20% race lengths instead of the usual 25% that we saw in the V8 Cup Series. Along with all the changes, this is going to be the smallest field that has ever been fielded in a Power Series. We'll only have 39 cars that will be running each and all of the 8 races this season. Along with many of the changes, the cars themselves that the drivers will be driving will be completely different as well, with an all-new Power Spec next-gen car, which will feature a lot of different changes, such as a new sequential shifter, one-lug rims, and many of aerodynamic changes as well to help improve not only the performance but the safety of these cars as well. The power sanctioning body took a lot of time over the break and hiatus to continue developing this car that they were planning to use for Season 3 of the V8 Cup to make sure that it was the safest and best power car that has been seen on the tracks since we were last here. Now, those are the main rules that are going to be changing. A lot of the rules that we've seen in the past are still going to be here as well. The races are going to perform about the same, with the race back to the line caution procedures still in play, and no green-white checkers as well, meaning races can end under yellow. And just like we saw in the last series, only the top 20 finishers will receive points each and every single race. So there will be 19 drivers each race that will fail to score points. Along with the actual race format mostly staying the same, the points format will also be the exact same as we last saw it. Only the top 20 finishers each race will score points, with the first place driver scoring 30 points and it going all the way down to 20th, who will score 1 singular point. Of course, bonus points will still be in effect as well. 2 bonus points for leading a lap, 3 bonus points for having the fastest lap, and 5 bonus points for leading the most lap, meaning that the maximum achievable points that a driver can score each and every single race will be 40, just like it was in the V8 Cup in Season 2. One of the bigger changes, though, is the fact that with the shortened schedule, there will be no playoffs or championship gauntlet, meaning that the points will be tallied from race 1 all the way to race 8, and whoever has the highest points finish at the end of the season will be crowned the Summer of Thunder champion, using a very classic and a very pure points format for the first time in the Power Series. Before we take a look at the new Summer of Thunder lineup and the teams that will be competing, we'll first take a quick and brief overview of the teams that will not be returning that were present in the V8 Cup Series. In total, there are 6 teams that will unfortunately be purged from the lineup and will not be able to make it to the Summer of Thunder series, whether it be going to different series or the teams just shutting down completely. Of those teams, we'll see the likes of the one-car lineup of Elite Forces Racing and Justin Henley. Both will not be returning to the series. Along with that, the Good Smile Racing team will not be with us as well for the new Summer of Thunder series. Jeff Bullen Racing will also be bowing out of the Power Paddock, meaning both of the Ford teams from Season 2 will not be present in the new Summer of Thunder series. Pole Position Racing and Nelson Reeves will also not be returning. And Sinclair Canada Racing also had a harsh shutdown due to the massive restrictions that was implied in Canada. It did not allow both of SCRs, as Sinclair Canada Racing and Southern Cross Racing will also not be on the new power grid. Both of these teams were sold off. Sinclair Canada Racing had to shut down, and David Dixon moved his assets to a new team this year. And that also means that Honda as a whole is bowing out of the sport as well, which was also another huge reason why both the SCRs will not be returning this season. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the 13 teams that will make up the 39 driver roster going into the new Power Summer of Thunder series. Starting in alphabetical order, we'll be kicking it off with Double or Nothing Motorsports. This team has always been the most unstable team in the Power Paddock, as they've always just been a single car team, and in the span of 24 races, this one car has seen a total of 5 different drivers behind the wheel of it. And going into the new Summer of Thunder series, this team will be seeing its 6th driver in 3 years, as team owner Nick Holliday, the driver formerly known as Nick Kennedy, will be driving for his own team for the first time in his Power career and for the first time since the team's inception. As mentioned earlier, this team has never had stability, as it's always gone through different sponsor woes and driver performance issues, but through all that, the equipment has still been able to manage some pretty solid performances and has shown some promise, most notably with Mitchell Collins at the end of Season 1, where he strung together some pretty good runs. As for Holliday's driving skill, he's not too bad himself, as he's always been a driver that's been able to put himself in the conversation of being at the front and has competed for wins on a few occasions, but has also been a driver that has usually been mired with bad luck as well. Still, he looked to have been trending upwards in the shortened Season 2, finishing 12th in the final point standings. As for this team, it's still very uncertain as to how they'll perform, as they'll also be bringing in a new manufacturer with them in Nissan. This will be the only team that will be running the Nissan power plants, meaning Double or Nothing Motorsports will get full manufacturer support from the Nissan manufacturing group. Now again, there's still a lot of uncertainties going with this team. The sponsorship doesn't really look to all be there, as it appears there's only one singular sponsor on the entire car, which is very rare to see, as the majority of these cars will be plastered with a plethora of different sponsors and having money coming in from different places. As for this team's performance, it's really a giant unknown, as with the new manufacturer and not knowing how that performance of the team will be, plus with Nick Holliday being behind the wheel of this car for the first time, hopefully it'll be able to put them in the right direction and give them some sort of semblance of stability for the first time in the team's existence. The next team up and the first 4-car team to go over is A3 Scarlet Motorsports. Flandre Wilson will be returning with her team, and for the first time in her career, she will be driving for her own team as well. The teams will be switching back to Chevrolets, and Flandre Wilson will be behind the wheel of the number 23 Van Chevrolet with a new number for her newly expanded team, as the team will be expanding to 4 cars and will be looking to be the lead Chevrolet team. Flandre Wilson has put herself a very solid lineup together, as out of the 4 drivers that she has on her lineup, including herself, 3 of the drivers are past V8 Cup Series winners, and also 3 of them are team owners in their own respect, meaning that there will be a big pool to grasp from in terms of data and resources and other setup knowledge to help all these teams perform better and make their way up to the front. As mentioned earlier, Flandre Wilson will be the lead driver of this team as she is the two-time winner, winning both in Season 1 and Season 2. And along with her, she's put herself a very solid lineup, poaching Leland Hill over from his own operation for the first time in Hill's career. He will be driving for a team that he doesn't own. He'll be bringing his signature number 54 over with him and making the move. But that's not the only driver from the Leland Motorsports group that is being brought over to this team. Tari Lowell will also make the move over to A3 Scarlet Motorsports and his newly renumbered number 38 Food Lion Chevy. Lowell won the Season 1 race at Bristol in what was very much a wreckfest race, but still managed to bring out the dub despite all of the chaos. Two race winners under the belt of the former Leland Motorsports group will now be joining the A3 Scarlet Motorsports team, as this lineup is surely shaping to be a strong one. The final driver is a driver with very limited V8 Cup experience, but will still be a valuable asset in Sabre Fox in her newly renumbered number 78 Dude Wipe Chevrolet. Fox only ran 4 races in the shortened Season 2 to very limited results, finishing about 30th in the point standings. But given the fact that she was with a very unstable team and the whole deal came together at the last minute, it really can't put too much fault on Sabre Fox for how she performed. Still though, this is going to be an incredibly interesting team to watch as they are shaping up to be one of the big powerhouses. As mentioned earlier, there are 3 race winners and combined 4 wins in total between this lineup. But still, the team itself, A3 Scarlet Motorsports, has never won a race, so Flandre Wilson is going to look to change that and bring the team's first career win in the new Summer of Thunder series. The next team up is a brand new operation buying out the remains of Southern Cross Racing. The newly formed Carrington Family Racing will be joining the Power Summer of Thunder series. And for a new operation, they've put themselves in a pretty good spot and have themselves a decent lineup put together. The team will be running Ford power plants, just 3 of 5 Fords that will be in the entire field. And of the 3 drivers that they've picked, just like A3 Scarlet Motorsports, a couple of them are previous race winners. We'll start with the most inexperienced driver first, and Emily Conwell, one of the many rookies that we will see in this season, 1 of 11 to be precisely exact. Conwell has at least a tiny bit of experience running the lone Thunder Light Series race before that series was abruptly shut down. But still, Conwell is going to be considered a rookie as she has never raced in a Power V8 Cup Series race before and hasn't raced at the top level of Power. So this is going to be an entirely new depth of field for her. But again, as we've seen in the past, being a rookie definitely doesn't mean that you're going to be a terrible driver. We've seen plenty of drivers come in, like the likes of Seishin Tomioka, Justin Henley, and Hector Palma, come in and have very quick success in rapid fashion with little to no experience. So that's not counting out Emily Conwell, but it definitely doesn't help not having that experience in her back pocket. Luckily for her, she's going to have 2 very experienced teammates to fall back on and try to gain more knowledge and speed from. Both Arwen Basic and Dylan Hayden will be switching over from their previous teams in the V8 Cup Season 2 and will be driving for the Carrington Family Racing team. Arwen Basic will be in his famed number 44 Gatorade Ford, and Dylan Hayden will drive the newly renumbered 53, bringing sponsorship from Lowe's over with him as well. Arwen Basic is a road course specialist as both of his 2 wins came on the road courses in Season 1, although he still showed a ton of speed and promise, finishing in the top 15 in the shortened Season 2. So Basic has definitely been molding and shaping himself into a very well-rounded all-around driver, and he is definitely going to look to be a threat to win some more races this year. As for Dylan Hayden, he definitely had a very rocky start towards his career in Season 1. Many will remember him getting in the catch fence at Daytona in a very vicious crash that forced him to sit out and miss a couple races and heavily impacted his performance from his return from injury. But towards the midway point of the season, Hayden was able to put his head down, start carving out some really good finishes, and was building himself some great momentum, which led him to get him and his team's first career win late in the season at Atlanta. Hayden was looking about to on track of his Season 1 performance as well in the shortened Season 2, and will definitely be a solid driver for this team. As for the lineup, it's looking like Arvin Basic is going to be the lead anchor driver, but they've still put together a very good lineup for a new team that hasn't raced ever in this series before. The Carrington Family Racing team will definitely be one you'll want to watch, as it seems to be they could be a sneaky good team going into this season. The Leland Motorsports team will be returning for the Summer of Thunder series, but on the surface, this team is completely unrecognizable, from everything from the lineup to the manufacturer down to the name, as the team will now be rebranding to their development division, Cheetah Racing, promoting it up to the premier series of the power ranks. For the first time in the team's inception, this will have a completely revamped lineup, a lot of different faces on the team, and completely different cars. As team owner Leland Hill made his switch to A3 Scarlet Motorsports, that in turn helped him switch for the first time ever from Toyota to the Chevrolet manufacturing, as this team will now be running Chevys. Along with it, for the first time, a wish for this team finally came true, as they've been able to expand to 4 cars for the first time ever in the team's inception. They started off with 2 full-time cars, had 3 in Season 2, and have now been able to make the jump to 4. Although, to be fair, looking at the lineup, this could be one of the more weaker lineups in the series, and definitely on paper looking to be the weakest lineup that this team has ever put together. The only driver returning will be the brother of team owner Leland Hill, Riley Hill, who will be driving his new number 15 Xfinity Chevrolet. Riley Hill has never really shown a whole lot of promise in his 2 seasons in the V8 Cup. He's been more so a mid-packer to back-marker driver who has definitely been caught up in a fair share of wrecks and accidents, whether or not they're his fault or not. Still, being a part of the family will definitely help you out, as he is looking to be the lead anchor driver of this team, as he is the driver with the most experience, as 3 out of the 4 drivers in Leland Hill have both made a combined less total than 9 starts apiece, with one driver being a complete rookie and the other 2 drivers being very experienced in their own rights. As for the second drivers, the complete rookie is going to be the 24 of Sam Surix. He'll be making his power debut this season, as he's never competed in the V8 Cup nor the Thunder Lights before, so he will be one of 6 drivers that will be considered as a complete rookie for this season. He'll still be one of the 11 drivers fighting for Rookie of the Year honors. As for the other 2 drivers, it's definitely an interesting mix. In the 90 Dr. Pepper Chevrolet, Zach Armstrong has been tapped to be the 3rd driver for Cheetah Racing. Armstrong does have a tiny bit of experience running the full 4 races in the shortened Season 2 with Jeff Bolton Racing, but definitely saw little to no success, as he was just one of 2 drivers that failed to score a single point in those 4 races. Still, it's a very small sample size to try to gather what kind of a driver Zach Armstrong is, but given that we've seen other drivers come in and perform with little to no experience, it's definitely not a great look. Still though, Armstrong's going to get another shot in the new Summer of Thunder series to try to prove his worth and at least score his first career points. For the final driver for Cheetah Racing, this signing came completely out of left field. Nathan Ormond will be returning to his number 95 car with sponsorship from Craftsman, and will be the 4th and final driver for Cheetah Racing. This signing comes as a complete surprise, as Nathan Ormond originally ran in Season 1 running for his own team, in which he also saw little to no success. And just after 5 races in Season 1, he sold off his equipment and hasn't been seen in any of the Power Series ever since, so it was definitely a surprise to see him be signed to this team. It's a complete wild card and definitely more so a field filler signing, but it'll just be really interesting to see how Ormond can possibly come back and put his name in the mix-up for competing for points and maybe even wins. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. This team, with its lineup as a whole, has never really shown any promise of running up for the front and competing for wins. So it'll be interesting to see how this lineup meshes and gels with each other, but in all honesty, it's not looking very good for them. We'll see if they can prove the critics wrong, though, and put those cars up at the front and continue to get wins like they've got in the past. The Thunder from Down Under will be returning for another power season. Fitzwater Australia Racing will once again return with a 4-car lineup powered by Dodge Manufacturing. And half of the team will be some familiar faces, while for the first time ever since the team's inception, there will be 2 new drivers joining the lineup, mixing in the foray. The 2 familiar faces that will be sticking around will be Ruben Gonzalez in his number 26 and Zachary Fitzwater in his number 59. It's not really too much of a surprise to see these 2 back. Obviously Fitzwater more so, given that, well, he's the team owner and is always driven for himself. And Ruben Gonzalez has also seen a good bit of some success with this team, given some good finishes in Season 1, and was a Power Gauntlet contender in the first season. So he definitely has experience of being up at the front and able to at least put his name in the conversation of competing for wins and championships. Although he also has a fair share of some very mixed results as well, given that in his Season 2 efforts he did not finish very well in the standings, finishing 33rd. As for Zachary Fitzwater Sr., he's been a driver that's really been shaping himself up and putting himself in the mold of a really good driver and starting to kind of break through to try to compete more in the points and for wins. He had a very sluggish start in Season 1, but to be fair, the whole entire team did, as Ruben Gonzalez was the main driver that was really bringing them in all the results and the points. But towards the midway of the season, they started to get better, and at the end of the season, they had all 4 of their cars within the top 15 in points, which is a very, very impressive effort. Although in Season 2 he didn't have the greatest results, finishing 26 in the point standings, we could assume that it was just going to be another sluggish, slow start for this team, and Fitzwater was going to come into his own and start getting more results. This team usually seems to be a team that starts off slow before they're able to really start get the results and the points coming in, and towards the middle to the later ends of the season, they are usually a threat for the win. Now, as for the other 2 drivers, it's going to be a little bit of a new mix-up. The only driver of these 2 signings with previous V8 Cup experience will be Dale Cole Jr., driving the number 48 Black Rifle Coffee Dodge for Fitzwater Australia Racing. Dale Cole Jr. is a decent driver who has ran part-time in Season 1 and was a full-time driver in Season 2, in which he finished mid-pack in the point standings in the 4 races of that season. He's shown some promise and has shown some decent results, and seems to be a driver that can mostly mind his P's and Q's and can hopefully break out with the Fitzwater Australia Racing team given the opportunity he's going to have. As for the final driver on the team, it'll be a complete rookie in the number 51 of Skylar Taylor. Taylor is another driver who has never competed in a Power Series race before, so he'll be an absolute wild card and an unknown as to how he will perform this season. Once again, Fitzwater Australia Racing is looking to put together a very solid lineup, but their biggest concern is how slow their seasons typically start off. It usually takes them a couple of races to get up to speed and get the results they need, and in this shortened season, they're going to need to speed that process up or just not have that sluggish start at all in order to be up at the front and compete for wins and championships. This is easily the biggest powerhouse team that is still yet to win a race, so it's going to be very crucial for them going into this 3rd season if they can get the team's first career win. Another new team that will be joining the grid is FRM, the only team from Thunder Lights that was able to make the promotion up to the Summer of Thunder series. This team will be ran by Saber Fox, and as a result will be under the A3 Scarlet Motorsports umbrella. And just like Flandre Wilson, it's another 4-car Chevy team with a very solid lineup to boot. 3 of the 4 drivers have raced both in Season 1 and Season 2, with 2 of them racing full-time in both of those seasons, and have also seen some pretty decent results and some success. The first driver on the team is Devon Fair, driving the number 08 State Farm Chevrolet. Fair has always been an interesting driver in the series, who has shown on and off interest, but definitely seems to be committed to this new Summer of Thunder series. He's bounced around from rides in Season 1, where he saw the most success in his career, with a good bit of drives where he would fight for the win, compete up at the front, and even got himself a pole award. In Season 2, however, in his full-time ride with one team, he didn't see much success, as he was the 2nd lowest driver in points after the 4 races were cut short in that Season 2. Devon Fair is definitely an interesting wildcard driver, as he's someone that has shown a lot of promise and a lot of talent, but has also not shown a lot of interest and concern from the series at points, but then has also seemed to be very committed at others. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs this season. Hopefully he can put his head down and be able to churn out some good results for the new team. The next driver up on the team is going to be dirt specialist David Dixon. They've tapped the New Zealander to drive his number 45 DHL Chevrolet, bringing back a mostly familiar cast of sponsors that he's ran in the first 2 seasons. Dixon has been a solid driver, driving for the Honda lineup and Sinclair Canada Racing for both of his 2 years. But given the team shutting down and him selling off his assets of his own team he owned, he needed to find a new spot. And what more intriguing and promising spot to land than at FRM? It seems that Dixon is definitely going to want to try to see if he could be the lead driver on this team, as truth be told, it could be anybody on this lineup, as everyone is pretty equally matched and rated in terms of their skill and how they've performed in the past. Dixon will be a very solid addition to the lineup, and should be a driver that can help put out some very good results and some consistency that the team needs. The next driver is arguably the best and has shown the most promise out of anyone on this team, and that is Cody Goforth. He'll be driving his number 60 Gold Peak T Chevrolet, and for the first time in Goforth's career, he'll be making a leap of faith move, leaving the Fitzwater Australia Racing team and joining up the newly formed FRM team. Goforth has definitely been a driver that in the later stages of his career has shown a lot of speed and a lot of growth as a driver, as towards the end of Season 1 and in Season 2 he found himself competing regularly for wins after a very slow and sluggish start to the season, just like his previous team owner. As for Goforth, he's still in search of his first career win, but everything is showing that if his luck goes his way and he can continue this progression he's been having, it shouldn't be more than just a matter of time before Goforth is able to secure his first career power win. He was very good in the Season 2, finishing 16th in the standings, and Season 1, and even better in Season 2, finishing in 7th in the standings in the shortened season. As for the last driver, it'll be another complete rookie with the number 87 of Josh Harmon, driving his Furniture Row Chevrolet. He'll be a wild card, but as we mentioned before, you can't count these rookies out, as they can always sneak up and be a huge factor to compete for the wins and the championships. It's not just about experience, but raw talent and skill that will also get you up to the front. And hopefully FRM has found the right mix of that talent. On paper, they seem to put together a very solid lineup that's going to hope to compete for good points wins and maybe even the championship. On paper, JC Motorsports will be returning with a very familiar set lineup, but when you actually look at the lineup, it's completely different and could possibly be one of the weakest lineups that this team has put together since their inception. Cam Wright Sr. will once again be behind the wheel, acting as owner-driver duties, as it seems every time he wants to try to go back to the owner's box exclusively, he's forced to be put behind the wheel of a car. At least this time it'll be a reunion, as he will drive his number 88 Lowe's Chevrolet once again for the first time since Season 1. The only other driver on the team with past V8 Cup experience on this team is Riley Spurley, but to Spurley's credit, it's not much experience. He's only got 5 races under his belt, 1 in Season 1 and all 4 of the Season 2 races, but to be fair, he has shown some promise and some decent speed, finishing around the top 20 in the point standings in the shortened Season 2. He'll be driving his newly renumbered number 22 Body Armor Chevrolet, making the switch to a new team after his previous team, Pole Position Racing, shut down. It'll be interesting to see with how Spurley does, given that he doesn't have a big sample size of experience to go off of, but what he has done has actually been impressive, and he could be a dark horse contender to lead this team. As for the other 2 drivers, they will both be rookies, and this will be the only team to field 2 rookies on the same team. To their credit, though, they at least have one Thunder Light Series race under their belt, so there is a tiny bit of power experience for the both of them. Cam Wright Sr.'s son, Cam Wright Jr., will be driving the number 8 car for the team, and Olivia Reynolds will be piloting the number 83 for them as well. Cam Wright Jr. hasn't seen success in most of his ventures, given that he DNQ'd his one V8 Cup Series start in Season 1, and also DNQ'd the Lone Power Thunder Light Series race as well when that happened. Olivia Reynolds showed some more promise in the Thunder Light Series race, but again, We can't really go too much off of just one singular race in a completely different car than what they're running. So there is a lot of unknowns circling this team going into this season and how they'll perform. Historically, the equipment has been very well and is capable of getting wins and competing for the championships, so they're definitely going to be hoping that at least one of these rookies, and maybe Cam Wright Sr. and Riley Spurley, can break through and put these cars up at the front and get them the positions in the championships that they are hoping for. The Mercedes-Benz AMG Performance Team once again returns, and for the first time with new expansions. Technically, this team is the only team to retain the same exact lineup that they ran in Season 2, bringing back both Ethan Hayden and Marcus Brown to the teams. Both of these signings were really no-brainers for the team. Ethan Hayden, obviously the Season 1 champion and won the first ever Power V8 Cup Series race, has always seen good success and results with the team, and it's been a great pairing for the duo, and it made complete sense for both parties to return once again for a third season. As for Marcus Brown, it definitely helps to have family ties to the team owner, but to his credit, he also saw some very good results in Season 2, finishing in the top 10 in the point standings. Now still, that isn't to say that he didn't do it without gaining a good bit of enemies on the way, as Brown has definitely been known to make some very aggressive moves and really put his car where he wants to put it regardless if someone is there or not. He's caused himself a good bit of wrecks and commotion, but has gotten himself good results in the process of doing so. So something is working for Marcus Brown, but a lot of people are going to be watching out for him and are not going to try to tolerate what he's going to give and take this year. As for the other two drivers, the third signing of this team will be driver Christian Vargas, who has raced full-time in both Season 1 and 2, and has also won at Daytona, winning the summer race in Season 1. So this team has two drivers that have won both at Daytona and have some very good superspeedway experience. Vargas has always been a pretty solid driver and has shown a good bit of improvement in performance as he was competing for the championship towards the end of Season 2. In the shortened 4 races, he found himself third in the championship standings, and if he can continue to improve on that form, Christian Vargas could easily be a championship contender in the new Summer of Thunder series. As for the final signing, it is a huge surprise as for the first time ever, team owner Marcus Brown is going to be driving for his own team. He's always been strictly an owner in both Season 1 and Season 2, but now given with the team wanting to expand to 4 different cars and Mercedes wanting to keep manufacturing 4-engine power plants for the Power Series, Marcus Brown will be behind the wheel and one of the 11 rookies fighting for Rookie of the Year honors. It's another very interesting signing as, again, we've never seen Marcus Brown behind the wheel of a car, but if he is any good as he is when it comes to making the driver scouting and recruiting decisions, he could easily be one to watch out for and could be an underdog threat to possibly get himself a win. This is a very solid lineup as there is a lot of race winning experience, a lot of knowledge and racecraft, and also championship experience, and it is very clear that Mercedes is gunning for a second championship in the Power Series. This will also be the only team that will be solely supplied by Mercedes engines and will have complete manufacturer support as well. So it'll be incredibly interesting to see how the Mercedes power plants will fare in this new series, but historically, they've always known to perform very well. Owen Scott Racing will return, and for the first time ever in the team's inception, will expand to a 2 full-time car operation and will be an entire family effort. For the first time in team history, along with a lot of other drivers, Owen Scott is going to be racing for his own team, driving his number 12 New Balance Dodge Charger. The team will be switching back to Dodge power plants for the first time since Season 1 as well. This is an incredibly interesting pairing as Owen Scott is probably the best driver in the entire Power Series, as he was a threat to win week in and week out in Season 1, won himself a race at Charlotte as well, and was a championship gauntlet contender, and then each and every single race was a threat to win almost in Season 2, won the last race that we had at Denver, and was the technical Season 2 champion, finishing first in points after the shortened 4 races. Owen Scott is always a threat to win, it seems like, no matter where we go, but especially on the speedways and the intermediate tracks. Those seem to usually be his bread and butter. But as we said earlier, in Season 2, he was a threat to win at Daytona, he was a threat to win at Atlanta, and he won the race in Denver. So it shouldn't be too much of a surprise if we see Owen Scott back up at the front and competing for wins. He's statistically the best driver that the Power Series has seen, as he finished 10th in the final standings in Season 1 and 1st in the final standings in Season 2. As for the second driver, it'll be pretty much the complete opposite of experience, as family member David Scott will be driving the number 69 Walmart Dodge for OSR. David did at least compete in one Thunder Light Series race, where he finished in the 21st position in the last chance qualifier, so there really isn't a whole lot to go off of with his previous experience. But still, if he can drive anything like his family equivalent in Owen Scott, this will be a very deadly combo and could easily be a team that will compete for the championship once again. Owen Scott, though, is going to look to drive for success for the first time for his own team, leaving the Ronnie Racing stable and putting everything in-house and in his own hands, and will try to get the second career win for the team this season. Parker Enterprises will once again return, and just like in Season 1, they will downsize to one full-time car driven by team owner Blake Parker. Another interesting pairing that they are teaming up with is Audi, as they will be the lone team getting manufacturer support from Audi this season. A lot like Double or Nothing Motorsports, this is another team with a lot of uncertainties, but honestly in an even worse position. Blake Parker has never really had any type of success in the Power Series, as he's always been a perennial backmarker in pretty much both seasons. He had a very poor points position in Season 1 and did not do much better in Season 2 as well, and has never really been a driver that has been able to break through and really compete for any type of success, just a couple of points here and there if he can find the scraps. It'll be interesting to see how this new duo helps him out in his newly numbered 00 Audi, as he really does need a big jump start for the team if he wants to try to complete any success for them. And it's not like the equipment has been bad in the past. Other drivers like Ricky Freeman Jr. and the team owner's brother Chris Parker has had quite a bit of success in those cars. Parker was running in a Parker Enterprises car in Season 2 and finished 6th in the final standings of the shortened season. So the capabilities of the equipment are definitely there. Blake Parker's just going to really need to find something within himself to gather some more good finishes and try to bring home something better than a couple points here and there. It's going to be very crucial as well, as Audi is another manufacturer that's coming in and putting their main focus and support into one singular car and one singular team. It'll be interesting to see how these new manufacturers pan out, as both of them do not have any prior stock car experience. Roberto Crown Jr. will once again return with his team with the newly rebranded Powerhouse Crown Racing. PCR will expand to 3 cars for the first time since Season 1, and will also be running Chevrolet power plants like they always have. Of course, the Crown in PCR is Roberto Crown Jr., and he is going to be driving his number 21 car once again this season. Crown Jr. has always been a driver that has been up at the front and in the conversation for wins, and has been a very competitive driver. He was in the Season 1 championship gauntlet and actually technically won the Season 1 regular season championship, unfortunately before suffering a bad series of wrecks and bad luck going his way derailed his championship efforts. And in Season 2, he would look to digress just a little bit, but was still around the mid-pack spot in the standings, finishing 20th in the final points, and could have easily went on to gathered more form and maybe even gotten his first career win if the season wasn't shortened. Still though, Roberto Crown Jr. has been a driver always up at the front, but has never been able to close the deal. He's still searching for his first career win, and it'll be incredibly interesting to see if he can do it this year. As for the other 2 drivers, it's a mixed bag in terms of experience, with one of them being a rookie and another one having a decent amount of experience in Season 1 and Season 2. The rookie will be Reggie Levi in the number 16 Nationwide Chevy. Along with the other 6 drivers, Levi will be a complete rookie this season, gunning for the Rookie of the Year honors. And for the third driver for the team, it's going to be Zachary DeLello, bringing back his number 77, and will be joining his third team in 3 years in his career. DeLello has always been a driver that's had mixed results, but it showed a little bit more promise and improvement in Season 2. He finished 40th in the final standings in Season 1 and 24th in Season 2. If DeLello can get a little bit more consistency and find a little bit more good luck in races, he could definitely be a driver that can find himself in the points more often and maybe even start competing for top 10s and top 5s. As for getting the win, there's really not much we can say there. We haven't seen him run up at the front like that very much. As mentioned before, he just really needs to work on his consistency. It's going to be very interesting how this team performs, as though they have won in the past with Dylan Hayden. Nobody on this team is a race winner, so everybody is still going to be looking for their first career win. The tables have turned very much for the Ronnie Racing stable. Just when we last saw them in Season 2, they appeared to be on top of the world with 2 of their cars in the top 10 in points, and another one flirting with the top 15 as well, running up at the front week in and week out, and are also the technical Season 2 champions and won the very last race. Still though, that lineup that they had, it's pretty much gone, and the majority of the foundation of Ronnie Racing is gone as well. The cryptocurrency crash was not very kind to the team. As you may remember, they were mostly powered by the team's own cryptocurrency, Ronnie Coin. When the crypto crisis happened, it made the stock of the coin crash and devalued a good bit of the team, forcing them to sell off a lot of equipment and downsize the operation to 2 cars. This will be a season of a lot of firsts for this team, as Ronnie Racing for the first time will be a 2-car operation, and for the first time will not be running with Dodge support, but instead will be backed by the Blue Ovals, as they will be running with Fords this year, and will be just 2 of 5 Ford engines running in the whole Summer of Thunder series. Of course, team owner Ronnie Martin is going to return to his number 92 car with his newly sponsored HKS Ford, and he's going to be a driver that's going to be looking to try to get himself the success this team needs. As mentioned in the past, they've always been able to compete for race wins, and this team has won 4 races in total, 2 in Season 1 and 2 in Season 2. Probably the most successful team in the entire series. But due to the events that have happened in the shutdown and everything that has gone on, it has forced them to make their situation look a lot more dire and bleak than what it was. Still, Ronnie Martin is still going to try to break into that upper echelon and start competing for wins more often and try to put these cars up at the front. As for the second driver, it will be a co-sponsored effort, as rookie Caleb Lane will drive the number 46 HKS Ford as well. Caleb Lane is a complete rookie, so there really isn't too much to go off of. It's looking like Ronnie Racing is going to try to get a lot of success with him, as they have ran this pairing and duo together in other series as well, so there is a good bit of chemistry there at least. Still, it'll be very interesting to see how Caleb Lane can perform in his debut season in the Power Paddock. And finally, last but not least, the last team to go over on the Power Grid is Vortex Racing. This team will be downsizing to 3 cars for the first time since Season 1, but they've still put together a very solid lineup as per usual with this team. Interestingly enough, it'll be the only team that will be backed by Toyota as well, meaning 4 of the 7 manufacturers in this series will be focusing on just one team for the entire operation. Team owner Brett Bishop will once again return with his newly renumbered number 72 Toyota Camry. Bishop has been a driver that's also seen quite a bit of success. He won the season finale in Season 1 and also looked to perform very well in Season 2. He finished 3rd in the Season 1 point standings and was 15th in the Season 2 point standings. He's always a driver that runs very solidly and very consistently and usually finds himself up running at the front more often than not. So he'll definitely be a strong performer to watch out for on this team. The second driver that's signed on here is rookie Maya Thorne, who will be driving the number 0 Better Help Toyota. Thorn will be getting the call up from the Thunder Light series, as she'll be bringing all of her sponsorship over with them as well, and the only driver from the Vortex Racing development program that will be getting a promotion on this new team. It'll be interesting to see how the rookie does, given that she does have a good bit of experience and knowledge to go off of, as the final driver this team signed is Chris Parker, driving the 07 Yahoo Toyota. Parker has been a driver that has came out of nowhere and has found himself up at the front and had a lot of really good results and some very good statistics. He won a fuel mileage race at the second to last race in Season 1 at Talladega, so he does have victory lane and race winning experience, but he also backed it up with a really solid performance in Season 2, finishing 6th in the shortened final season standings. So both Parker and Brett Bishop are going to be two very, very fast and skilled drivers to watch out for, as they could both easily be championship contenders. Add in with the potential of Maya Thorn possibly breaking through, and we could see ourselves have Vortex Racing back up at the front and be a powerhouse once again. If Thorn is able to perform and develop very quickly, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen it out of them, as they were able to get Hector Palma his first career win in just the first 3 races of his career, and he was up in the top 10 or top 5, in the standings. So Vortex Racing definitely has himself a solid lineup and a good reputation of performing drivers very quickly and helping them develop into championship contenders. And with that, the 2023 Power Summer of Thunder Series has been revealed. 39 drivers will battle it out over the next 8 races to see who will be the champion of the new Summer of Thunder Series. Be sure to stay tuned in the Discord for updates on the next races, as the schedule will be revealed race by race. And the first race is going to be our most iconic race, the Royalty Graphics 500 at the Daytona International Speedway, the 3rd premier Crown Jewel race at Daytona being held in this new Summer of Thunder Series. It's always a great race, and it's going to be one that you will not want to miss out on. Once again, thank you everybody for your patience and sticking with the series. It means a lot to see the support that everyone's been giving it and the excitement, and I can't wait to bring you guys another season of some power action. We'll see you guys soon in the first race of the season.